I will go. Goodbye, Parrish. Curse it. I expect it's no more than a cold that Mrs. Parrish has got. You'll see. In a few days, she'll be right as rain. Darn it, Niggle. You've got to stand up for yourself. And you never make good use of your time when you have it. But Parrish is my neighbor. I have a bicycle and he does not. He couldn't ride one even if he did have one, what with that lame leg of his. It's probably why he has that sour expression and whining voice all the time. And wouldn't you know it, now that I'm out of my shed, I can finally see how to do the shining spray that frames the distant visions of the mountains. Darn Parrish, why can't he even see my picture? I know it's not a very good picture, but there are pieces of it that turned out all right. But I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I may have just lost my last chance to finish my painting. Not just for today, but for all days. That was the doctor. He didn't seem fussed, I'll have to say. I expect he'll wait before the rain stops before he comes. And the builder's not even here. I'll have to leave a note. Here, could you give this to the builder when he comes back, please? Thanks. I'm soaked to the bone. And I think I'm coming down with a cold as well. The soft leaves dapple the bird in different colors of shade. Her brown wings carry a kaleidoscope of colors, and I know just how I would paint each and every one. And if you watch very patiently, you can see the baby birds over the protective wall of the nest. And that bit of trunk I didn't know what to do with before. I know just what it needs. It needs a bit more red, and maybe a little yellow. I might need more canvas. I'm certain I don't have enough paint. The leaves chatter and rustle. There are a million different colors, but also all the same. If only I could get out of bed. My forehead is hot, and my stomach is growling. I must hope that I regain enough strength to put food in my mouth before I starve.
Niggle lay there in bed for a full week. When he was finally recovered, he returned to his painting. But the vivid images he had seen when he was sick, he couldn't remember. He worked slowly, trying to recreate what he had envisioned.
Damn, always being interrupted. I'm sorry, this is a private residence and I have no time for visitors. Good day.
I am an inspector of houses.
Oh.
The state of your neighbor's house is in complete disarray. It is very unsafe
I brought a note to the builders quite some time ago, but they never came, so his house is still in shambles. I would have fixed it myself, but I have recently been ill.
But you're not ill now. I just saw you painting on that ladder, so you have some sort of strength to do some physical labor.
I know, but I am not a builder. Parrish should bring up his grievances with the town council and get help from the emergency services. There is not much I can do with what I have been given.
But they're busy currently. The damage in the valley is far worse than anything that has happened up here. There was a flood and many families have been left homeless. So, in the absence of the builder, you should have made temporary repairs to keep from the damage from worsening. You have materials here. You have canvas, wood, waterproof paint.
Where do you see materials?
Well, right there.
That's my painting.
Dare say it is, but houses come first. That is the law.
But I can't.
Come now, I am the porter.
Porter? Porter for what?
Porter for you, and your train, of course. The train was ordered a long time ago and has finally arrived. It's in the station waiting. Today is the day you begin your journey, you know.
But I haven't even finished my painting.
Not finished? Well, you're done with it now. Come along.
But I must pack some things and get some affairs in order.
Absolutely not. We're on a very tight schedule. If we give you any more time, we might end up missing the train.
It's so unfortunate that you must go on your journey on such a sour note, but at least we can use some of your canvas to prepare the labor.
Come now, Niggle.
No clothes, no food, just my work, I suppose. Is this the right train? It does seem a little disconcerting.
As Niggle entered the train, he noticed it was deserted. He uneasily walked through 3 cars before finding a seat. As he gazed out the window, he thought of his painting and new leaf designs flickered through his head as he drifted off to sleep. Niggle!
Oh! Oh!
There you are.
Oh no, my paintings!
Wait, you don't have any luggage? You have to go to the workhouse. Follow me. Niggle did not like the workhouse. The other workers were strict, unfriendly, unkind. He was forced to work very hard, doing carpentry, digging, and painting boards in solid, boring colors. He was never allowed to go outside, and was forced to work most hours in the dark. He began to lose track of time.
I wish I had helped Parrish the first time the high winds came. The first loose tiles would have been easy to fix. Then Mrs. Parrish wouldn't have gotten sick, and I wouldn't have either. Then I could have worked on my painting for a whole week longer.
After a while, Nibble forgot what he wanted more time for. He got no pleasure out of life, but he did begin to develop a sort of satisfaction, bread rather than jam. As time continued, he began to get really good at his work, greatly increasing his efficiency. Although the only time he had alone was in bed, he was finally able to rest well. Then, suddenly, his hours were changed. He was barely allowed to sleep, and he was taken off of painting and carpentry, so that all he did was dig, day after day. At first, Nibble was content, and he never complained. He would work until his hands were raw, his back ached with pain, and he could go on no further. No one ever thanked Nibble for his hard work, but a doctor did come in to check on him. He found Nibble to be quite ill, and prescribed him bed rest in the dark.
Now the niggle hissed.
What was the matter with Niggle? His heart was in the right place.
Yes, but it did not function properly, and his head was not screwed on tight enough. He hardly ever thought at all. Look
tell me about Parrish. I hope he is not ill. Can you cure his leg? It used to give him a wretched time. And please, don't worry about him and me. He was a very excellent neighbor and let me have good potatoes for very cheap.
Did he? I'm glad to hear that. Well, I agree. I can go to the next stage tomorrow if you.
This way, over here.
What a fabulous little train.
Why, thank you.
By the way, where does it go?
I don't think it has a name yet, but you'll find it all right.
I wonder where I am. But hey, this is my bike. I wonder where this path leads. It's quite a beautiful country, you know. But still, I have this feeling like I know where I am. Oh my goodness. It's my painting. It's real. It's a gift. It's more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. But there's something missing. The mountains in the distance could use some work, and the ground could be given more thought also. I wonder. I know what I need. I need my good neighbor Parrish. There are plenty of things about trees and plants and the earth that I don't know, but he does. This place cannot be left as my own private park. I wonder where Parrish is now.
Niggle,
Parrish, it's good to see you.
it's good to see you too.
Together, the two decided where to make a house and a small garden. Nibble became absorbed with building and getting things done, while Parrish was fascinated by trees and wandered about looking at nature.
I really shouldn't be here. Thank you for putting in a word for me. I owe it to you.
Oh no, you owe it to that second voice. We both do.
The two continued living and working together, Nibble thinking up new trees and plants, and Parrish putting them where they fit best. After a while, Parrish lost his limb, and he started to gaze towards the mountains, expectantly.
Now that we finished the hydrangea beds, I think we should go for a walk.
That sounds like a great idea.
Do you mind holding on this for me? I don't need it anymore.
What a beautiful country this is.
It's beautiful.
Hello there. Do you need a guide?
I must wait for my wife. She'd be lonely. I expect that they'll send her to me when she's ready, and she can make this place better. Homier, I expect. I hope she'll like this country. What is it called?
Well, didn't you know? This is Niggle's country. It is Niggle's painting, and now some of it is Parrish's garden.
Niggle's painting? Niggle, did you think of all of this? I never knew you were so clever. How come you never told me?
He tried to tell you a long time ago, but you would not listen. He'd only got canvas and paint in those days, and you wanted to mend your roof with them. This is what you and your wife would used to call Niggle's nonsense.
But it didn't look like this then. Not so real.
It's true, it was only a glimpse back in those days, but you might have caught the glimpse if you had thought it worthwhile to try.
To be honest, I didn't give you much chance to try. I used to call him Old Earth Grubber. But what does that matter now? We have lived and worked together. Things may have been different, but they could not have been better. All the same, I suppose I'll have to go on now. Goodbye, Parrish.
Best of luck.
No use to society at all.
I'm not so sure. I don't know, it depends on what you mean by use.
No practical or economic use. I dare say you could have made into a serviceable cog of some sort if you schoolmasters knew your business, but you don't, and so I get worthless people of this kind. If I were in this country, I would see they're put for some job they can do, like washing dishes in a communal kitchen or something, or I would have them put away. I should have put him away long ago.
Put him away? You wouldn't make him start his journey before his time?
Yes, and we must use that meaningless old expression. Push him through the tunnel to the great rubbish heap. That's what I mean.
So, you don't think art is worth preserving, or improving, or even making use of?
Of course art has its uses, but you could not make use out of his paintings. There are plenty of young painters out there not afraid of new ideas. None for that old-fashioned business, private daydreaming. He could not have designed a good poster to save his life. Always fiddling around with leaves and flowers. I asked him why once. He said he thought they were pretty. Can you believe that? He said pretty. What, I asked him. Digestive and general organs of plants? And he had nothing to say. Silly fool.
Yes. Well, poor little man. He never finished any of his paintings. All of his canvases were used to fix other roofs and other doors. Do you remember that large one, the one that they used to repair his neighbor's house with? I found a small corner of it torn off. It was damaged but legible. On it were mountains and a spray of leaves. I can't get it out of my mind.
Out of your what?
And who are you two talking about?
The name's not worth repeating. I did not know why we were even talking about him. He didn't even live in town.
If you must know, Perkins, we were talking about Niggle. You had your eye on his house, and now that you have it and the one in town, you needn't resent him or his paintings.
Niggle. I never knew he painted.
That was probably the last time Niggle's name ever came up in conversation. However, Atkins preserved the odd corner. Most of it crumbled, but one beautiful leaf remained intact. Atkins had it framed, and later he left it to the town museum, and for a long while, Leaf by Niggle hung there in a recess, but was noticed by few eyes. Eventually, the museum burned down, and the leaf and Niggle were entirely forgotten in his old country.
It is proving very useful indeed. As a holiday and as a refreshment, it is splendid for relaxing. And not only for that, but for many it is the best introduction to the mountains. It works wonders in some cases. I am sending more and more there. They seldom have to come back.
Yes, it seems so. I think we shall have to give the preacher the name. What do you propose?
The porter saw that some time ago, trained for Niggle's parish in the bay. He shouted